The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, continuing some fantasy football chatter. Joining me in studio, like he was supposed to do on Monday, and then I had to cancel on it because my flight got delayed, but you're here now. So we're going to do two shows. Chris Meaney from The Athletic.
Yes.
So we're going to recap your flex auction, and that'll come out on Saturday.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about week one of the preseason.
Let's do it.
We got some trades, we got some injuries.
Yeah.
I guess I should let people know if they want to get into a draw for 20 DK bucks, they can do so by smashing the like button for the episode, leaving their DraftKings handle in the comment section, and most impressive, whose stock rose the most after week one, the Thursday night series of the preseason? It could be no one. I mean, don't say no one. That's going to get you ineligible for the draw. But like whoever it might be, like if some like rando had a huge game against fourth stringers, it's probably not going to impact their fantasy value too much because they're not going to go, making the team. Therefore, they'll be irrelevant in fantasy, which is something you saw. Maybe tick up the list, leaving that name down there. Maybe it'll be a sleeper later on. And leave a 5-star review on the audio podcast, Pat Mayo Experience, 5 stars, DraftKings handle, something nice about the show. Boom, you're in the draw. All my rankings are up on dkplaybook.com. If you want to check out all the other shows, hit the description of the video. They're all there. I did a show with Jake earlier this week.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Talking about the flex.
Talking about the Giants.
Oh, the Giants. Yeah. His favorite team.
Yeah, I don't watch them, but I know everything.
He knows everything. Giants, Mets. Doesn't watch them. Doesn't like them. Deep down loves them both.
So I don't want to go like game by game, but maybe we'll end up doing that here. The first thing I wanted to get to, Duke Johnson traded from the Cleveland Browns. The new backup now is Dontrell Hilliard.
Okay.
So like everyone's just talking about, like Chubb is a smash now. And I like Chubb anyway.
Yeah.
But now there's no one there to steal all of his receptions. This Dontrell Hilliard guy, because the average depth of target for Nick Chubb last season was under 3. That's not great.
No.
So if he's not the pass catcher they want him to be, I like the situation a bit more because it's one of those things where if he's just on the field so much, he's going to get 3 catches a game. And 3 catches is enough for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he's getting all the goal line work. He's going to get all the between the 20s work. He's going to get like 20 touches a game. Yeah. You piece that together, it's going to be fantasy bonanza. It makes him like a top 10 running back. But do you worry about anyone stealing receptions? Like just that they will have a focused third down back, and then Kareem Hunt eventually comes back.
Yeah, and then Kareem Hunt eventually, obviously, this, a lot can happen by week 10 or week 11, whenever that is. But, I mean, I think now Chubb, and I like Chubb anyways, too. I think we talked about him last time I was here, but now he's a for sure, like, RB 8, 7. I could make that case. Definitely rather him over Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook.
I had him up at number 5, and I was like, that's probably a bit much. I moved Connor to number 5. I don't know what to do, man.
I know, and that's where I have Connor, too. Like, I go Connor, DJ, and Lev Bell, but you could make a case for Chubb over all 3 of those guys.
I had Mixon in that mix as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair too. This offense is going to be so good in Cleveland, and that's where I split the hairs, right? Between a guy like Joe Mixon, already missing AJ Green, that team sucks. I mean, what's going to happen with their run game? I mean, Mixon is fine; he's going to catch a few balls, but Chubb to me is the safer back. I mean, it's the better offense. He's not going to get any touches stolen from him. You mentioned like there's not many guys who are going to take competition away. Like they drafted a couple backs in Cincy. I'm sure they're not going to step in and take touches. I feel like
they're Gio Bernard replacements more than Mixon
replacements.
Are.
They are for sure, but I have more confidence in Chubb. As for Duke Johnson, I mean, this is a great landing spot for him.
Yeah. So he goes to the Texans. So they cut Donta Foreman. He goes to the Colts. I covered that with Jake. So it looked like Lamar Miller. He's the guy. Yeah. I still think he is going to be the guy.
I do too.
But the big story coming out of the Texans from last night was Keke Cutie rolled his ankle. Poor guy, man, can't stay healthy.
No, he can't.
So does Duke Johnson go into the slot some of the time? Like, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, he might. Originally, when I first heard of that trade, I said, oh, great landing spot. Duke is back up into that range. I feel like with those other pass catchers, Austin Eckler, maybe he gets a bump. We don't know what Gordon.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, would I want, like, Naheem Hines or Duke Johnson? I think the answer is Duke Johnson.
It is.
Only because the Colts will be playing from in front so much that Hines just probably won't be on the field.
That's how I feel, too. Yeah, the answer is Duke. I think he belongs in a tier with, like, Tariq Cohen. As somebody who's going to get some passes.
Yeah, that's probably a good comp.
Yeah, him. I moved him up in and around that range. Like I have Eckler a couple spots ahead because I don't know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, you have to factor in what if Gordon doesn't play.
What if Gordon doesn't play?
Then you would want Eckler.
Then Eckler would be a borderline RB2 in a PPR format. Yeah. Certainly want to play him in flex.
Like even if you took Lamar Miller out of the equation, I don't think Duke Johnson's getting 20 carries a game.
No, he never will. And even at times last year with Cleveland towards the end of the year, I was at a game actually. It was Cleveland and Kansas City. I was there, and I figured Duke would get some play. It was the week before he got a few catches, and I think he scored a touchdown, and then he had 0 targets in that game. It's like, what is going on? It was really strange, but I think he'll be involved. We know about Lamar Miller. I think you and I have been saying this for years. He's better suited as a guy who gets about 15 touches, 15 carries, not 20 plus every single game.
But now he will get 20 plus.
Oh, like touches?
Yeah, but it's not going to do any more for you.
No, it's not going to do any more. But I mean, having Duke there, I mean, Lamar Miller didn't catch a lot of balls anyways. I think just over 20. So he's probably going to stay the same.
I wonder if that's a product of Bill O'Brien's offense, though, where they just don't pass to running backs. That's why I would think that, like, we don't know what the extent of QT's injury is.
Yeah.
It's an ankle.
Yeah.
Does that mean 8 weeks? Does that mean he's back in 2 weeks? It looks minor for the moment, but this guy was perpetually banged up last year. Anything kind of worries me.
Yeah, it should.
That's a role that I could see him stepping into, or at least spelling QT from time to time, or maybe they go 4 wide and they have these offenses like maybe they play the 11 sets where they have the one running back, the one tight end, and then Duke Johnson's just the other slot guy.
Yeah.
After he goes out of the backfield.
And also, Will Fuller is a guy that's been able to stay on the football field. So if all of a sudden you got Keke and Fuller out, I mean, maybe you're looking at Duke as somebody who stays on the field quite often. Maybe 2 running back sets. Maybe he plays up, maybe lines up in the slot. Maybe he's a guy that gets 5 or 6 targets a game. I mean, that's valuable for sure. But I mean, if anything happened to Miller, I don't see him as a guy. They would have to make a move. They'd have to make another trade. Like, I don't see him.
Hey, no knees. Jay Ajayi is always available.
Yeah, that's true.
He might not have a job this year.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Well, the Eagles have to cut one of their 38 million running backs. You'd think. Maybe they won't. Maybe Doug Peterson's like, here's the new move. Here's the new efficiency. All the running backs.
All of the running backs, which shouldn't shock anybody. We've said this before. I have. I mean, there's only been 2 running backs in Doug Peterson's systems who had 20 carries in a game, and Ryan Matthews is one of them. So I'm sure maybe Smallwood, Clement, these Adams, maybe one of those guys, they're off the radar. But anyways, they're still healthy right now. Miller is healthy. So I think Miller doesn't change.
No, Miller stays the same. I'm going to move up.
Miller stays the same. I think Duke belongs as like borderline
top
flex.
40. Yeah, like 35th or something. I'm going to update my rankings
Yeah.
on Sunday nights. Like I don't feel the need to do it every single night just because it gets too convoluted. Like I need to wait a few days. Here's what the actual injuries are. Need time to assess the situation. And then there's more stuff that's going to come out.
Well, I haven't even tinkered with Antonio Brown. Like, have you seen his feet?
Oh yeah,
Well, some people won't look. Like you're curious? You got to look.
he's frostbite.
Yeah,
It sucks.
his feet are nasty. But I haven't adjusted. Like, we're still just in week 1 or week 2.
Well, I'm doing my draft this weekend, Pat. I'm doing it on Saturdays. Well, you fucking get a better time to do your draft. I'm sorry.
I mean, everyone should be drafting as close to the season as they can. We saw.
Yeah, like
with
after
QT.
week 3,
Week 3 is a good.
you might
good
still
betting point.
encounter something, especially if the holdouts aren't done yet. Then that throws a real wrench into the situation. But like if you didn't draft already, like at the beginning of July or whatever,
Right,
like
just
why
wait it
are
out.
you doing it now?
Yeah, just wait it out. Yeah, I mean, if you drafted, well, one guy we'll probably talk about is David Montgomery. I mean, everybody's talking about him. I mean, if you drafted 6 weeks ago, I think I took him in the 5th round and draft on Sirius, and now he's a for sure 4th. Maybe even by the time preseason's over, we're talking about this guy in the 3rd round. Like, that's how crazy. Remember who was it? Amir Abdullah? Remember that run he had against the Jets?
Oh yeah. Vaulted him all the way up into like the 3rd round.
You got to be careful with these preseason reports, but already the community is buzzing about David Montgomery. So guys will move up.
Well, if I don't know if I'm going to move him up, I'm also just going to start calling him Mini Mall
It's just like a mini mall. Hey, hey.
from now on. That's going to be the move. But like he did it against the second stringers for one thing.
Exactly.
Like what's it's nice to see him do well.
Sure.
That's fantastic. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Man.
Yeah, you take some of this preseason stuff with a grain of salt. You're right. They go up against second teams. Guys are running with first team offenses sometimes that won't do it all year. So it's interesting. I'll keep an eye on things like Balaj and Drake. Like those are battles I'm interested in. Not so much a rookie running back, what he's going to be able to do in the preseason.
Well, let's compare him here. We'll talk about Antonio Brown in a second, but Gabe Jackson went down on the Raiders offensive line. I think it was from Warren Sharp's preview. Everyone should go read that, by the way. It's like 250 pages, but
it's worth it.
It is definitely worth it to go through it. It took me like a week to get through everything, but it is highly informative. I feel like I'm now ready
Yeah.
for the season. I'm trying to get Warren on. He's a very busy
Sharp
man.
analysis. Man, he's great.
Warren
He's
looking sharp.
Yeah. Real sharp.
He's looking real sharp with this, by the way, with that guide. So
Yeah.
the big thing is, like, if they listed like the Tom Cable ranks for like coaching up offensive line, just like every team he goes to is just horrible. So their line was horrible anyway. Now they lose a right guard. It's not like Richie Incognito, it's been 10 years since he bullied that poor guy. And like
Has been a while.
like he got voted to it's funny, like you look at Pro Bowls, because he's made a Pro Bowl since when he was on the Bills, but like I feel like when it comes to offensive linemen in the Pro Bowl and even some defensive players, like if people know your name, you're in.
You're in, yeah.
And if you've made it before, you're just kind of grandfathered in because no one really knows anyone else. This offensive line is not good. So if you had Montgomery versus Jacobs, I love Jacobs just because I think the volume is going to be there. And that's the one downside to Montgomery is maybe he ends up in the Jordan Howard role and gets around 250, 275 touches. That'd be awesome.
That would be great.
And maybe because he can catch and
Yeah.
Jordan Howard couldn't, hands of stone, he gets involved that way. That takes away from Cohen. But Cohen is still going to be there. Mike Davis is still going to be there.
He is.
Remember that guy from Thanksgiving? Sonor?
Yeah.
What the hell was
Who
his
the
name?
hell was that?
feel like
Yeah, the Thanksgiving game.
I feel it's not Montrez Harrell, but it's something like that.
Yeah. Oh man, do I remember him? Yeah.
You're
were
like,
just
who is
who
this
the
guy?
hell is that guy, and why does Mitch Trubisky keep throwing to him?
So they will play sets where they have two running backs on the field a lot. Like their combined snap count last year for the backfield was like 113% because they played a lot of two back sets. And that's great for Montgomery. And if he gets all the goal line work, that's going to make him very valuable. Yeah. But even though that Jacobs is running behind the far inferior offensive line in a worse offense, it just feels like it all goes through him.
Yeah, it probably does.
Him and Brown.
Him and Brown. Yeah. I like Tyrell Williams too a little bit.
And Hunter Renfro.
Yeah. I mean, Oakland's going to be bad.
Darren
again.
Waller? Weller, where the hell his name is? I'll watch out for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Anytime you're on Hard Knocks, it's like,
Yeah, it really is. Jalen Richard, your boy, Rocket Richard.
Rocket Richard.
Can you get a few passes out of the backfield?
I don't know. He's an anti-vaxxer. So that might work in his favor because no one wants to be around him.
Yeah.
You're like, don't get your measles on me, pal. I got kids. You run to the end zone, man. I don't care.
Oakland may just be a complete mess again, especially if Antonio Brown has to miss some time and the offensive line is as bad as what you're talking, and they are bad. I mean, Jacobs can catch it to the backfield. He should get a lot of the work, like just projecting touches. I would say he finishes as a top 10 back in terms of touches.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why
valuable.
That's why I would take him over David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Even if Montgomery's better, plays in the better offense, I just think volume will win out, even if it is on an inferior team. The bad part of this would be Jacobs only plays two downs, then Richard is on the field, or whoever is on the field.
That is a possibility.
And that cripples his value. But would you spend a first round pick on a running back? I mean, maybe there's morons, but.
Penny? I mean, Penny was a first round pick. He hardly touched the field.
But we've seen Pete Carroll do this in the past. They go out and sign, not Channing Frye, where the hell is it? Charlie Frye, and we'll draft Russell Wilson. He's now our starter. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
And they do this last year with Penny and Carson.
Yeah. And a lot of the comparisons people will go to is Gruden back in the day when he was coaching. He gave all his backs a ton of touches.
But when he had Cadillac Williams, who was like their legit number one, he got all the carries.
He got all the work. Yeah, I mean, but the team was good then. The offensive line was solid. They're going to be playing from behind a lot. Not to say that Jacobs can't catch. He should catch. He should catch 40, 50 balls. Like, that should happen. But it's possible that Richard does get in there, a little bit more than what we want.
But we know that Montgomery is going to lose at least value in the receiving game to Tariq Cohen for sure. That's going to happen.
For sure. I think so. I mean, they didn't use Cohen towards the end of the season, especially in the playoffs. Like, where was he against the Eagles? Like, he hardly touched the field. And Kareem Hunt was very valuable in Matt Nagy's offense in Kansas City as a rookie. They got Kareem Hunt. They wanted him. They had a vision. They did the same thing with Montgomery. They moved up to get him. The offensive line is very solid. You mentioned Howard, the 270 touches. That was top 10 in football last year. If you give Montgomery that,
he's going to be awesome.
He's going to be awesome. And he's going to get that goal line work. So I have him actually as an RB1.
Montgomery? So you would go Montgomery over Jacobs?
Yes, I would.
Would you take Montgomery or Gurley?
I would take Montgomery.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I'd still take Gurley. I think I'd take Jacobs over Gurley.
It's really close for me. I have a couple guys ranked a little higher.
I'm not super settled on I really like Jacobs, but I feel like all this news about Oakland, and maybe if they're like a disaster on Hard Knocks, that his value will fall, where Montgomery's is going up, and maybe I can get both of them, or Jacobs just in the fourth round.
You probably can. It's a good call because it is headed that way. Where, I mean, just because I have Montgomery, we talk about this all the time, but just because I have Montgomery ranked as like RB 10 or 11 doesn't mean you need to draft him there, right? I mean, he is.
You might now, though.
You may have to now. I have him ahead of guys like Gurley. Dalvin Cook.
You have him ahead of Dalvin Cook?
I have him ahead of
that seems
why?
Because Dalvin Cook's good. Whenever he's healthy, he's good. Just hope he.
When have you seen him healthy though? That's the one thing. Why am I drafting Dalvin Cook as an RB10 when his last year in college he was hurt? That's the reason that he moved down draft boards. His first year with Meaney he was hurt. His second year with Meaney he was hurt. What am I expecting here from Dalvin Cook? 16 games? There's some risk, clearly, but I would just rather take the guy in Minnesota's offensive line.
Minnesota's offense is better than Chicago's offense. Straight up, it is.
It's close, probably.
It's not close. The Vikings' offense is way better.
It's better. It's better. I mean, they got better weapons.
Yes.
They have two solid wide receivers.
And I think year 2 of Kirk Cousins is going to go a little bit better.
With a run game especially. If they have a run game, the offense will flow better. Kirk Cousins doesn't have to drop back 45 times a game.
Well, there was a big thing with the Vikings last year is that they were so efficient on first down, passing the ball for like the first 7 weeks of the season. Then like Cook gets hurt, and they're like, you know what we need to do on first down? Run Latavius Murray right up the middle for 1 yard.
Yeah, and
what are you doing?
That clearly
Come
didn't.
on, Zimmer.
That clearly didn't work out. I mean, Kirk Cousins is in a bad spot. A lot of people are all over him, but
I kind of like him this year.
He was QB 12, 13 last year. He's not even getting drafted. He's like in the low 20s. I mean, and if Dalvin Cook does play 12 games, the offense is better, and Kirk Cousins' numbers are probably better. He doesn't throw the ball as much, but it's better. So yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of risk there. I like him. I like Mack too. I'm pretty high on Marlon Mack.
I like Mack as
I think
well.
He's a borderline RB1. I think both of those guys are borderline RB1s. I'd rather take the shot on those guys than the risk with Gurley and Cook. Although I do see the ceiling.
So Antonio Brown,
yeah,
he's got this foot. If you're drafting today, are you even? Because he's still going like fringy round 1 to the middle of round 2 is sort of the range where he's going.
Yeah.
Let's say you're sitting there at pick 12 and you have the wraparound. You taking Antonio Brown? Probably not, right?
No.
Probably taking Juju instead.
I'd rather, yeah.
You take Mike Evans?
Yeah. I've moved Juju up over him, Mike Evans over him. I'm debating like Thielen and Keenan Allen over him too. I have a lot of shares of Antonio Brown already because, to your point, he was falling to the mid-second. And I was like, this guy's going to still probably lead the league in targets.
Yeah.
And you can say what you want about Derek Carr. His completion percentage has actually been pretty decent. I mean, he's in the mid-60s forever.
We can say he's not good because he throws all those balls minus 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he's not a good quarterback, but he's never really had a whole lot to work with. I mean, they did have Cooper and Crabtree that 1 year. He was borderline QB1 that season. Yeah, so...
Well, one of the big things about their offense, I don't know if this changes or not because, Gruden's there now and he wasn't at the time, but market share wise, when you looked at it, like for a while, it was Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. They had like over a 50% market share of the Broncos offense. And Cooper and Crabtree were almost exactly the same way.
Yeah.
It's like we either throw to these two or we run the ball.
Yeah, for sure.
So even if he only throws for like 3,500 yards, at least it's going to these two guys, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of options there, and they're going to be brutal, right? They're going to be in these shootouts with the Chiefs and with the Chargers. They're going to have to play
Also,
from behind.
Tim Andercuss just bet them to hit the over of 6.5 wins, so they're winning like 3 games.
That's a bad bet.
Yeah, I know.
It's just why even take that risk? Like, so much has to go right for them. I mean, they play the Chiefs twice. They play the Chargers twice. I mean, they're already dealing with him. Did he do this after the Brown? Like, because the win total is probably going to actually drop in some spots. Yeah, I like Tyrell Williams. He's basically free. I'm sure he should move up draft board slightly because there's just not a lot of guys to throw to. And he was the 5th option at times for the Chargers, at least the 4th.
It depended on the week.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, there was no consistency in his game. I think there'll be a little bit more. He's the 2nd option, I think, in this offense.
All right, let's see. Andy Reid came out today, and he said that the Chiefs plan on using a running back by committee. Oh, fun! Because Dame Williams is already dealing with a hamstring problem, but he'll be back and work his way into the mix. And you have Darrell Williams, then you have Carlos Hyde, then you still have Darwin Thompson there as well.
Who's looked good, apparently, according to reports. Without pads. How I feel about Damian Williams. I said this last time I was on the show. He's easy fade for me, 100%. We're talking about a guy who's never had more than 50 carries in a season. He's only had over 13 carries in a game one time. Nobody likes Damian Williams. They like the thought of him being in an Andy Reid Kansas City Chiefs offense. If somebody was to if you're saying you like Damian Williams, you think he's a really good running back, you're completely lying. He had good games with the Chiefs last year. Anybody could have.
Where would you take him?
I wouldn't.
You would though.
I would take him RB 19, 20 is actually where I have him roughly.
So like fourth,
like
fifth
in
round.
Around that, in around where Jones and Jacobs, and at that point, I'd rather just take.
I had Jacobs ranked over him anyway.
Yeah, Jacobs, Mack.
So we're getting to like the next tier down, like the Derrick Henrys of the world and those guys.
Yeah.
Although Derrick Henry's already banged up.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's already banged up. I
Like,
don't
I'd probably
really
take
care for him.
Would you take Aaron Jones or Damian Williams?
I would take. So that's another guy I'm not in on. He's already banged up too. We're just all expecting Aaron Jones to just be awesome. So I think I would just take the upside at that point with Damian Williams.
Kerryon Johnson or Damian Williams? I take Kerryon, I think.
Yeah, I would take Kerryon too. And I love the fact that they got rid of Theo Riddick. I mean, there's more passes for him. I mean, he was catching balls before he got hurt last season. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just.
Would you draft any of the other? Because Jake and I talked about Carlos Hyde a little bit.
I love Carlos Hyde.
But do we even know it's Carlos Hyde?
We don't. There's a risk. There's a risk.
But if he's
we
going
don't
like
know.
12th, 13th round, who cares?
But exactly. If he's going there, and if you don't get Carlos Hyde, then you take a shot on Darwin Thompson. I mean, you take a shot on one of these guys because Andy Reid, everyone says Andy Reid has never had that running back by committee, but he's never needed to. He's had good running backs. I mean, he had great ones in Philadelphia.
But
he had Kareem Hunt to start.
But like Brian Westbrook
KC.
was a running back by committee guy with Deuce Staley until he became the guy.
Until he became the guy. But what are we looking at here? Damian Williams is not just all of a sudden going to be the guy. I mean, I looked at his games, and this is an unfair stat. But through the course of his career, he played like 74 games. He's averaged two carries per game. Like he's had chances to be the guy.
Yeah, listen. Damian Williams was always my favorite. Like bye week, the Dolphins running back gets hurt, pick up for the next week. It's like, oh, Damian Williams, he can catch. He might get like 3 catches this week.
Yeah,
I got to shove him in the 16-man league.
Yeah,
and then he'd get a concussion.
And then absolutely. I mean, injuries, right? And like you said off the top, I mean, he's already not 100%. So. It's a sticky situation. I like where Jake got him at the flex. I like $24. I think is a fair price. I mean, the upside is definitely there for Damian Williams, but I'm not going to draft him as the 12th, 13th running back off the board. I'd let him fall to the early 20s, and that's just not going to happen. I won't get him then.
Last week, Cust came out after he saw that Jarek was activated and said, "The Jarek comeback begins." Now he's been placed on the pup list.
This guy really is just absolutely
2 days later
cursed, man.
So. I don't know how long Jarek is going to be out for. I'm not drafting Jarek, but this does wonders, you'd think, for Tevin Coleman.
It should, back with Kyle Shanahan.
But do we think that Tevin Coleman's actually any good? Is the problem.
We shouldn't think that he's any good because he had opportunity in Atlanta, and Ito Smith I don't think he's a really good back. And
Judge Ito getting a touchdown in the preseason last week. Watch out for the judge.
He got a few, right? He took all those goal line opportunities away from Tevin Coleman last year. I mean, there was some games with Atlanta. He had to look at like 6 or 7 carries and 5 of them in the red zone and got a touchdown. So I like Tevin Coleman a little bit more here in that Jared McKinnon news. They still have Breida hanging around there. There's another guy too that
Raheem Mostert. And they still have Kyle Jers.
And they still have Jers,
who's always going to play.
Yeah,
he's going to be on the field.
So I think you have to like the fact that Shanahan, this is the reason they got Tevin Coleman.
Yeah,
they went and got him. Very familiar with the playbook. Get a year Jimmy Garoppolo, who everybody seems to be off this time last year. We're drafting him as a QB5.
I think the Niners make the playoffs.
I think they'll
be good at least.
I do. I think they'll be competitive. Yeah, I think they'll be better than Seattle this year.
It's funny because even last year when they had everyone's hero, Nick Mullins, like I know they ended up with the 2nd overall pick, so therefore they weren't good.
Yeah.
But they were a bit feistier than you would think. And their defense, theoretically on paper, has improved.
Yeah, it has.
And you get Garoppolo back, who you'd think is better than Mullins.
Yes.
And the 2nd year of Kyle Shanahan, it feels like stuff is coming. Everything that people thought San Francisco could do last year, there's no reason to think that they're not better at this point this year versus this point last year. They seem to be a better team.
Yeah, I don't know why everybody's out on them because they were the hot team last year. Like Jimmy Garoppolo was
Siege
a top
came
10
on the show and said that Garoppolo might get benched by week 3. Like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
They pay him $25 million a year.
Yeah, he's not getting benched. There's no way. And George Kittle, we already know he's great. I think Dante Pettis can take another step forward. I think he's...
Well, now there's been reports that he's having a bad camp. I don't know what to make of these reports.
Yeah, whatever. Who cares about that? He proved enough to me in the last few weeks of the season that he can be a wide receiver 3 in fantasy, and I think he has upside to be a 2. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a better fantasy year than Alshon Jeffrey or Allen Robinson.
You hate Alshon.
Just so many
Allen
guys
Robinson,
in that offense.
like, just kind of digging in a little bit deeper. I kind of like Allen Robinson where he's going in drafts.
Yeah, I like it too.
Year 2.
He is the number 1.
And you have to think, like, he was coming off a pretty massive injury.
He was.
So now that you get another year away from that.
all year last year.
He did it with Bortles.
I know.
You can do it with Bortles. You can do it with Trubisky.
What do you have, like 14 touchdowns that year with Bortles?
And, like, it's the same reason I look at Jacksonville. I look at Jacksonville's offense. I'm like, they don't have Blake Bortles anymore.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's great.
That's a huge upgrade for everyone involved.
Everybody, especially Leonard Fournette. I mean, the offense.
I think it's for Dede.
For DD too, absolutely.
For everyone.
For everybody, yeah, because even the defense, Jacksonville's defense, not that you and I are somebody who likes to draft defenses early, but last year, the defense was actually pretty good. Like you look at points, they give up a lot of points, but they didn't give up a lot through the air. It's just Blake Bortles turned the ball over every time in their own end zone, puts them in their own side of the field. It puts them in a tough spot. So the offense will flow better with Nick Foles. Get the ball out quickly. He's familiar with DeFilippo, who's his quarterback coach in Philly. Like they'll play to his strengths.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I love the offense, but
I'm just
DD
saying, I think like I'm curious to see what their win total is. I think it's 8.5.
Yeah.
But like I think they'll be better than Tennessee.
I think so too.
And there's a chance that like Andrew Luck's hurt and the Colts suck.
Well, if Luck plays like 7 games this year, they'll win
like,
6 games.
I asked this on the show with Jake and get people to hit the comment section. Like, which injury are you scared of most? I think it's Andrew Luck for me. I just don't, just because I don't know. And if he's not there, or he's limited in some sort of capacity, like the Colts are like one of the favorites to win the AFC. Like if they're not good, especially from like a gambling standpoint, like a win total standpoint. The other teams, all of a sudden, like everyone's kind of high on Houston, but Houston's real iffy because Bill O'Brien's just not.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Houston.
Like Jacksonville went from having the best defense to having a good defense, but not a great one last year. But we see this like the yin and the yang every year with defense.
It's a weird division.
It's just like Chicago. Like Chicago had the best defense last year and generated all these turnovers. Like, what if they're not plus 13 in the turnover? What if they're plus 3? Are they as good? No, they're not.
You're right.
What if they're not so healthy again this year? They're not going to be as good.
Yeah.
And then it just ebbs and flows back. Like we know that Jacksonville's defense has been put in place to be really good. Mm-hmm. They need to be healthy. They need to execute. They can do that.
Yeah.
And we saw them go to the AFC title game with an inferior team 2 years ago.
They were up on the Pats. If that
fumble gets called properly, like they're looking good.
Yeah, and if they don't actually take the ball out of Blake Bortles' hands, like they were too afraid to let him throw in the second half. I mean, he had a great first half, and they literally just handed it off every single time. They were too afraid of that. Nick Foles has obviously proved that he can play on the big stage. My thing with Luck is, I agree with you. Luck was QB1 for me until Tyreek Hill. I found out that news, and then I bumped him down to 2, like obviously. But then I hear that his calf has been bothering him since April or May. That's a big time concern. Like I won't take him even in a 2 quarterback league now. I don't feel like I want to take him as the second quarterback off the board.
But to be clear, like that's because he's still going really high.
He's still
like
going
he was
high.
going in the 12th round. You'd take Andrew Luck.
Sure.
We took him in the 12th round last year, not knowing if he was going to play or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if he does play, he's going to be
for
great.
sure. But I mean, if you're one of those that like to, Watson, like I got Watson ahead of him now. Rodgers, I'm actually not sold on, but I would take Rodgers. I know it's so crazy to say that with Rodgers.
Just take Josh Allen in the last round.
Why doesn't anybody like Josh Allen?
I love Josh Allen. He's the man.
Like I've had some heat. I have Josh Allen ranked ahead of all these burners, like the quarterback burners, like Kyler Murray, and
I think I have Lamar ahead of him.
Lamar. But they're all kind of side by side, and nobody likes that at all.
You pick your poison and kind of go with it. I just like Josh. The case I keep coming back to is everyone like Baker. He's going to take the leap. He's an MVP candidate.
There's so much risk.
Sam Darnold. He's a fringe, like a dark horse MVP because the leap in year 2. Josh Allen. There's no possible way he could ever improve. That's impossible. It's like, well, what if he gets marginally better?
Yeah.
Well, he said he's going to be really good.
He's got weapons, some weapons at least this year. But what did he have last year? Zay Jones. I mean, that guy can't run a route, can't catch a football. At least they got a burner in Brown, a burner in Foster. 100 running backs on that team. The offensive line is a little bit better.
Let's talk about the Bills right now. They played last night. They won 24-16 over Indianapolis. Josh Allen played 18 snaps. Shout out to Levitan for breaking this down because he actually did the snap counts.
Nice.
So in the 18 snaps with Josh Allen, John Brown played 17. The Bees. Played
There's another guy. Yeah,
played 13. Andre Roberts played 11. Zay Jones played 9. Robert Foster, none.
I know. Which sucks for my best ball shares 2 months ago.
It
seems like
is he going to get cut? Or is it just
Can they afford to just cut a wideout that
they have
actually had a bit of
they have like 20
chemistry?
wideouts. I guess you get John Brown. That replaces what Robert Foster does.
It does. Yeah, the immediate.
He can go back to being the co-star of
Brown.
Jackie Brown and be fine. Get Oscar nominations.
Yeah, they play the same kind of.
That's Robert Forrester.
Robert Forrester. That's right, Robert Forrester.
Max Cherry.
Yeah.
Jackie Brown. Everyone go check out my Tarantino power ranking show. It's up on the feed.
They play a similar role. ADOT is through the roof for Brown. It was for Foster last year. He had the highest ADOT out of anybody, higher than Deshaun Jackson. He just didn't have enough, games or targets to qualify.
Here's a really interesting thing that I think the Bills have done now in year 2 with Josh Allen, and I think Sean McDermott saw this when he was in Carolina, that when you put Cam up with the Kelvin Benjamins and the Funcheses of the world, it's almost exactly like Cam was a highly inaccurate quarterback. So you try to get the biggest people possible. Oh, they have huge frames. They'll catch everything. Because Cam's throwing it 20 feet over their head. They're giant. But as it turns out, that when Cam Newton, when he was more inaccurate than he is now, and maybe with this arm problem he goes back to that the biggest benefactors in the receiving game to help Cam out the most were these little guys who just got a ton of separation off the line, that you didn't have to throw it to a spot and make these guys with huge ranges make a play on the ball. These other guys just had 3 feet of separation or 3 yards of separation. You just threw it in their direction and they were open. And that's basically with Cole Beasley and John Brown. That's what the Bills have done here. And I think this helps out Josh Allen a lot.
I think it does too. I think Cole Beasley is going to be somebody that we talk about in PPR formats, definitely in DFS as a sneaky little guy in the slot. It's going to be easy completions, as you said, and you said it perfectly. And they have a few backs that can catch. I mean, Singletary looked pretty good yesterday in a small sample size.
Is he the Bills' back to draft, or is it just don't draft any of them?
I think it's probably don't draft. I think it's actually Singletary. He's pretty cheap. I mean, you stash him. Maybe that turns out to be like Chubb-like. If you held on to Chubb all year and then finally they got rid of Hyde and they open up the door for Chubb, maybe that happens. They get rid of LaShawn McCoy and then opens up the door for Singletary. I mean, I know Frank Gore's still hanging around. And
he's going
Yeldon,
to get 250 carries.
My goodness.
For 3.3 yards per clip with 3 touchdowns.
Then don't draft Singletary and don't even draft Frank Gore. I mean, it's just a complete headache.
Their best running back is Josh Allen.
He is, yeah. Maybe he doesn't run around as much because the offensive line was brutal and he was running for his life, but I still think he'll call his own number. I mean, he led the Bills in red zone rushing attempts last season.
That's all you want from your famous. I'm not out here saying that Josh Allen's going to be like, the Bills are going to win 13 games. No.
He's going to average 40 yards on the ground a game. That's like starting with a touchdown.
Yeah,
and if he hits...
It's a free touchdown.
It's a free touchdown.
And he might get those games where it's like 98 yards rushing.
Well, he had them last year, so he certainly could. And if he hits Brown or Foster, Brown is obviously not... He doesn't have the best track record. Resume staying healthy.
No, but he gets deep.
They should keep...
It's like Isaiah McKenzie. He gets deep.
So
he's little and runs around.
Yeah, Brown, deep shots. I mean, Allen has the biggest arm in football. I mean, his ADOT was through the roof last year compared to anybody else. So he hits Brown. Brown's leaving. He hits Foster. He's one of the two that he's going to take those deep shots, at least 2 or 3 a game, and I'm sure he's going to connect on one of those.
And the fun thing about Josh Allen is he's going to throw a ton of picks. But that doesn't matter for fantasy.
It doesn't matter, no.
Like, it's almost like when Blake Bortles was a top 10 quarterback. Like, oh, he threw a whole bunch of picks, so we just had to air it out the entire time.
He finished a top 10 quarterback like 3 years in a row.
And remember he used to run too?
Yeah.
Like, Josh Allen is sort of like advanced Bortles as it comes to fantasy. That's at least how I envision it.
Yeah.
This could go disastrous.
It could.
I just like what I'm seeing here. Paul, how do you feel about that for your Bills quarterback? No, you weren't listening? Perfect.
He tuned out with the Bills.
I got nothing really. If they played the Colts without luck, like, who cares?
Yeah, whatever.
New England, Detroit, Jacoby Myers. Jacoby.
Yeah.
2 TDs.
Interesting.
He's getting all the first team reps without Edelman around. But if Edelman comes back, does that mean like Myers pushes out N'Keal Harry? Do they play like 2 slot guys? I don't know what to make of it. Like, do you draft this guy? Probably
I don't know
not,
what to make either. Probably not in your standard 12-team league. You're probably not drafting anyone after Edelman and Harry. I suppose you could, but Harry. With him, like, we just don't have a lot to go by with Belichick and rookie wide receivers. Like, they tend to kind of just go under the radar.
Yeah, watch like Philip Dorsett still be the guy.
I think that's very possible. I mean, you look, this is a team that wants to run the football. I mean, they're even lining up Sony Michel wide in practice. That's how hurting they are for their wide receivers. Like, this is a guy who doesn't catch the football. The guy to draft is James White. He's going to catch another 80 balls probably this season.
Of course. Yeah. Even James White in standard is fine by me.
Absolutely.
Would you draft Damian Williams or James White?
I think I'm leaning James White at this point. Isn't that crazy?
Listen, I love James White. I'm trying to get him everywhere.
Yeah.
But if it got down to like, oh, no one wants Damian Williams, and I'm sitting there in like the 5th round, and it's like Williams versus White, I'd be like, I think I got to go with the upside of Williams here.
I think so too. Yeah, 100%. If you just pick 2 of them, you take them. But I mean, you get White a little bit later on.
Hopefully. I think people are savvy to what White's up to now.
They should. It's taken so long.
So the only interesting thing I really found from Detroit was TJ Hawkinson, dressed for the game, played 0 snaps.
Interesting.
I wasn't drafting him anyway, but people were like, oh, he's like, Noah Fant is, I don't even know if Noah Fant's going to be any good, but he's who you want to take as a rookie tight end over TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
He might be great next year, the year after, whenever. I just don't see it for him here.
No, I know it's tough for these rookie tight ends. Look at Gesicki. I mean, he's
now the 4th string tight end on Miami.
And all the hype from him last season, right? He was going to be...
I kind of liked him in year 2. Like, hey,
I kind of like him in year 2 as well, but the point is he didn't do anything in year 1, and there wasn't a lot of guys hanging around there, so take some time. I heard some great things about Hawkinson, but it's really surprising that 0 snaps. That's not something you want to see for your first preseason
It's very
game.
curious. They had 3 rookies who just didn't play. It's like, what are you doing here, Matt
Strange.
Patricia, you dummy?
Yeah, he wants to run the football too, and I don't know how good of a blocker he is.
Yeah,
so.
he's like the best blocker.
Well, then why the heck isn't he on the
I
field?
don't know. I don't get it.
Weird.
Matt Patricia's trying to make too many notes on his laminated clipboard with a pencil.
That guy needs to get the pencil.
He
out
needs
of
to
the
be
ear.
fucking fired.
Yeah.
Already. Just take a hike, Matt Patricia.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was fired after this year.
Me neither.
Yeah, the way that he handled everything, the way he handled the media, he was short with the media. He flipped Tate, all those.
Look, you can be short with the media and make all these bold moves if you're really good. Look,
Yeah.
hey, look how well it worked out for Chip Kelly for 1 year.
Yeah.
Then when he wasn't so good, it was like, yeah, no one gives a shit here, Chip.
Jeez,
Take a hike.
gave him full control of the damn team.
Now they got Deshaun back. They're good to go.
Yeah.
Baltimore and Jacksonville, they won 29-0. The big takeaway here is Lamar Jackson played 16 snaps.
Nice.
So the wide receiver breakdown, Seth Roberts played the most of any wide receiver, him and Chris Moore. Then it was the need. Got the need for Snead.
He
Played
got a
11.
touchdown, I think.
He did. I believe that was later, though, not from Jackson.
Okay.
I can't really remember now.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, though. But Lamar actually played 3 series. I was kind of stunned. Miles Boykin had a touchdown call back. He played 4 snaps, looked the best, but Hollywood Brown's a DNP. He's not playing yet. So it's hard to figure out what's going on there in terms of, like, Celia loves Miles Boykin. He does look really good.
He does.
But
yeah.
I just don't know how much value any of these receivers are going to carry. But here's the interesting shakedown. With Lamar on the field, Boyle played 10 snaps. Andrews, everyone's favorite sleeper tight end, played 6. And Hunter Hurst Helmsley played 6 as well. Like, it's going to be just a situation where Andrews is going to have these spike games because he's such a freak talent. But trying to rely on this guy week to week is just, I don't think it's feasible.
No, I don't think it is either. Like, if you're in a 12-team league,
He's being drafted as people's starting tight end.
He is, and I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable doing that. In a 14 team, sure. In a 12, I don't like to carry 2 tight ends anyways. But maybe like if you like Herndon, you take him, knowing he's suspended for 4 games, and maybe you roll out Andrews for first 4 weeks. I know it's possible. I do like him, but you're right. There's 3 tight ends there. They're a team that wants to run the football. Nobody ran the football more than them last year. It's not going to change. And Lamar Jackson, as much as you want to say, anybody wants to say he's going to improve in the passing game, he's not that great of a passer. It does benefit these tight ends, but that makes me kind of be out on everybody in the offense.
And now they're saying that, like, I'm not going to run the ball as much. And we didn't see him run the ball at all last night.
Lies.
I think it's lies too, because why would you be running the ball on the like? If the circumstance is the more you run the ball, the more likely you are to get hurt. Why would you ever do it in the preseason?
Right. And I think Harbaugh already said that they were going to run the ball more, and I don't think he's just messing with people.
Well, I don't think that's even possible. They could run the ball. I think they ran the ball like 63% of the time with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
I see something very similar, and I know you don't like Ingram.
I'm
I'm not here to tell you about Ingram.
Just wait till the auction recap.
I'm not here to tell you about that, but last year they did tip their hand when they had Gus Edwards on the field because he can't catch.
Well, he's the Gus boss. He goes boop, boop, to the end zone.
But you know that
so much better than Ingram.
At least you know that they're going to run the ball for the most part. Like, they're not going to be dumping it off to him. He doesn't catch. But I'm not in. Jackson's all right. Solid floor. I think Boykin is very interesting as a late round guy, as somebody who's really not getting drafted in 12-team leagues. But
I just think in 12-team leagues, he's a pickup if he does anything. And maybe you miss out. Maybe like you're savvy to Boykin.
Yeah.
He's a watch list guy for me. I want to keep tabs on him to see what happens the first few weeks. If I miss him, I miss him.
You miss him, and you're never going to feel comfortable starting him. Even if you get into week 8 with injuries, you're going to roll him out there, and he could have
unless he's
games.
the guy,
He
and
could
then
have
I missed
games.
him. So whatever.
Yeah.
Tennessee 27, Philadelphia 10. Sudfeld goes down. Armcast.
No Nick Foles to back up Wentz. Uh-oh.
You better hope Carson Wentz stays healthy. I think the more interesting thing is their backfield. Jordan Howard started. Miles Sanders, the much hyped Miles Sanders from practice this week. 3 carries, 3 yards.
Yeah, nice jump cut in practice in the red zone. Everyone loves him. Moving up the boards. It's crazy. I saw a bunch of tweets like after that jump cut in practice in the red zone, like that little cut. He's only 3-4 on DK week 1. It's like, guys, don't get into this trap. Jordan Howard's going to be the week 1 starter on that team.
He'll get 16 carries for 53 yards and maybe 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he may be the goal line back to start the year, and they'll probably mix out guys. We know this already. Darren Sproles is going to be there. Don't draft any Eagles back. I think that's the best.
And don't draft any. I like Ertz, but don't draft anybody else in the offense either besides Wentz. Jake says this all the time. Draft the cake and not the icing, whatever the hell he says, that little saying. It does make a lot of sense. There's a lot of weapons around there. It's hard to project targets.
It's funny because Jake usually says about Mariota. Or as Tim calls him, Mariota-san. Because for some reason, it's the weirdest pronunciation I've ever heard of Mariota. But is there a chance Ryan Tannehill could be their starter? Tannehill looked way better.
There's a solid chance. Mariota is on a
Is he just dust?
He's
Is he not good?
And there's another guy. Good thing Chip Kelly didn't trade 17 first-round picks, a second and a third for this guy when he probably wanted to in Philly. My goodness. Yeah, there's a chance he could be done. I think he'll be the week 1 starter, and then, he's been hurt numerous times. He's also had, I think, 3 or 4 different offensive coordinators, so it's hard to really be that hard on him when the playbook's changing all the time.
But he's another guy. Like, if you're out on Dalvin Cook, like, this guy's always injured too.
Oh, yeah. I'm not in on Mariota. I want nothing to do with them. The one guy I kind of like in this offense, Ryan Humphries.
Adam Humphries.
Ryan is a guy I work with actually at Mindstar. Shout out. Adam Humphries. I think he could probably lead the team in catches.
I think that people are sleeping on Corey Davis.
People are definitely sleeping on Corey Davis.
Like, Corey Davis is good.
And he's really good. Is everybody forgetting we were all comparing him to Terrell Owens when he came out of college?
Yeah, well, no, when they spent a first-round pick on Brown. You're going to push Corey Davis out. Maybe not. Maybe Corey Davis in year 3, he's the breakout. Logan Woodside last night, 138 yards and 2 scores.
Sure.
I don't know if we'll ever hear of this guy again, but like, keep playing him in the preseason.
Yeah, why not? I mean, Howard or Henry is not 100%. Listen,
I'm drafting Deion Lewis.
Yeah, everyone should.
In like the 13th round.
Yeah, he's basically free. So with Davis, he got a lot of top coverage last year, and there's nobody else to help him out. So you put Delaney Walker in there, you got Humphries, Brown, some guys all of a sudden that offense. I'm not ready to give up on Corey Davis yet.
Okay, Giants 31, Jets 22. Darnold plays 7 snaps. Robbie Anderson, Jamison Crowder, say it right, Frenchie, and little Quincy Enunwa.
Yeah.
They were the 3 receivers on the field for every single one of those snaps, and Herndon out there as well.
And Curse,
Curse is on Detroit now. He broke his leg.
He broke his leg last night. I like Crowder. He looked good. I watched a little bit of this game. Crowder looked good. And Crowder has always looked good when he's healthy. It's just that.
But he's another guy who's always hurt.
Yeah, he's another
and it's always soft tissue, and you're like, and that's my hamstring.
And that's a red flag, but he's not going early.
I think Robbie Anderson's the play here. Like, people have
he's the number 1 option.
People have that range of people are almost 100% of leagues are drafting like Chris Godwin over Robbie Anderson. I have Godwin ranked ahead of Robbie Anderson by 2 spots.
Yeah.
And there's like a 3-round value difference between them. Like, just give me Robbie Anderson every time.
Yeah.
He's a talented dude.
I like him more than Alshon.
He has stupid hair, but I have him ranked above Alshon as well.
He's the number 1 option in this offense. He was good. He showed great chemistry with Darnold last year. I even like him more than Allen Robinson. Just slightly.
I know I have him ahead of Allen Robinson as well. Yeah, I think he's good.
Yeah, and he's going after those guys.
If you do one of those running back heavy drafts, and he's your wide receiver 2, it's
fine.
not optimal.
It's not ideal, but it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. He's probably more of a 3, but he has upside to be a 2.
Yeah, like if you had 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds, or you had Kelsey as one of your first picks.
Yeah.
And like, let's say your first wide receiver was Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Or even someone below Keenan Allen. And you had Robbie Anderson. I was going to say Mike Williams, but you probably wouldn't have those 2.
I've been starting a lot of drafts, wide receiver, going Mac Montgomery, and then he's still there as the 5th. Like, he could be the 3rd, and I think that's a decent start.
I'm kind of in on, I don't want to say necessarily passing on the first end wide receivers, because it depends on where I draft, obviously. But I guess in an auction, it doesn't really make a difference. But I want to get those running backs.
Those top 5. I feel like after
I don't have them as a top 5. I have them as the top 3. Zeke for the moment, who would be number 1. I dropped him to number 4.
Yeah.
And then I'm not in on David Johnson just automatically being a top 5 guy. I'm not.
Yeah. That's why I'm willing to kind of I like Connor, but I'm willing to pass on DJ and Bell and Mixon. Grab a wide out.
See, the thing is, I like all those guys. One of them's definitely going to bust. One of them's going to be a top 3 running back. That if you just kind of load up on that tier of guys.
Yeah. Mixon's going to bust.
I don't know if Mixon's going to bust.
Bengals suck.
Too much work, man. So much work. The Bengals sucked last year and he was good.
He was. Yeah, he was.
Let's see here. What else? Daniel Jones. He's great. What a pick.
What's everyone all over the Giants for? They know what they're doing, clearly.
Yeah, of course. No, they don't have any leaks at all.
How many games does he start this year?
You can bet on DK Sportsbook right now.
Like over under 4.5.
I think it's like 7.5 or something. He's got to be playing.
You got to think.
So Benny Fowler is currently the receiver to own. That's not Evan Ingram. Because Tate's suspended.
Shepard's apparently going to be ready week 1,
So,
maybe next week.
It came out reports this week that they've been giving him the Tour de France jersey. In practice, he has to wear a yellow jersey to know not to throw to him or not to get hit. Yet Eli is constantly targeting him. He's constantly getting hit.
Oh,
what are you doing, Giants? Like, get it together.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Only the Giants. Typical Giants. I like Ingram a lot.
Me too.
Yeah.
Especially with these injuries.
Absolutely.
But I do think he's probably like, once Tate comes back, once Shepard's healthy, you probably want to sell him. Especially if he's a hot start type of guy. Yeah. It's like Cam. I looked at Cam's schedule. Cam has really tough matchups for like 5 weeks. Then he probably has the easiest quarterback schedule the rest of the year. So people are going to be, go get him.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be like pissed that Cam's not, or if he is good for the first 5 weeks, watch out.
Yeah.
I like Cam a lot this year.
Well, the discount is...
He's cheap. He's
the
like 10th
discount
round.
is nice. And they've done a good job of getting guys like DJ Moore and Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, guys that you don't have
little guys who get in space.
Those quick throws, because we know Cam's not accurate. You talked about his shoulder. I'm sure like that's going to bother him a little bit.
I'm not too concerned about that.
I'm a little concerned of the fact that I don't know if he'll run as much, because he's taken a lot of shots over the years, a ton of shots. And you wonder what that, all of a sudden he's got that shoulder now. Is he going to run around as much, call his own number? I'm sure that's going to be hard to get out of his game plan. He's always done this, but if he's taking those shots early on in the season, I mean, he could get a setback. But I like what they've done with their offense, so he's basically free.
Okay, so we got the Baker Mayfields 30, Washington.
Yeah.
The Washington Disasters 10.
What a joke they're going to be this year.
Yeah, they're not going to be good. Especially if Trent Williams doesn't come back. Like, you'd think that, like, hey, we're a bad team. We don't know who our quarterback is. Let's just run the ball a bunch. But, like,
who are our wideouts? Like, Doxson's never been able to stay healthy. Jordan Reed's never been able to stay healthy.
Peterson and Geist didn't even play in this game. Like, you got to keep him fresh for the year.
I better see some touches from Geist in the preseason before I draft him. I like the fact that I said when I was on the show last time I didn't like him, but I do like him a little bit more now that he's like in the seventh round range.
Yeah, he's dropping.
That's value I can certainly get behind. You're not drafting him as an RB2 now.
The only note that I picked up from this game is that Cleveland played 11 personnel. It means one running back and one tight end 88% of the time. That's up from 68% of the time a year ago. So
Baker's awesome. I loved how excited he was yesterday. Opening drive, he looked phenomenal. Scored a touchdown, jumped around like he won the Super Bowl. I'm all over him.
Good news for Rashard Higgins, because if they do continue to play 11 personnel, he could be on the field a lot.
They're gonna run some
because Duke Johnson's not there, so you don't have to worry about him being on the field.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Miami and Atlanta. Preston Williams, 4 catches, 97 yards, drew 2 defensive pass interference and got tackled at the 1-yard line.
That'll burn you every time.
Undrafted free agent. Maybe he makes it like I don't know if he's like a team preseason guy or he might make the team, but I still like Albert Wilson the best.
I like Albert Wilson the best too. Yeah. Originally I was Parker, but I don't think I'm going to go down that road.
I'm not drafting Parker.
Yeah,
if he has the good year and it burns me, good on him.
So be it. Yeah.
Not doing this again.
Yeah, I'm not either. Albert Wilson he looked really good last year, playing out of the slot at times. They had some end arounds for him. He was a big part of their offense. I think he'll be too. Josh Rosen actually looked pretty good in that game too. I watched a little bit of it. I do still think that Fitzpatrick is going to be the week 1 starter on that team, but eventually they're going to have to turn the page.
They have to at least
see what they have with Rosen.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably going to be one of the worst teams in football draft a quarterback next year, but see what they have with Rosen. I think it was a good buy low. It was a good deal that they made.
Yeah, and listen, if Rosen is good and you are kind of trash this year and you get the number 1 or the number 2 pick, whatever it might be, and you don't feel you have to spend and use that pick on a quarterback, all of a sudden you have this draft capital. Let's say they get the first pick. You trade the first pick for 1 next year and a second next year, and you trade down and pick up another second this year. That's how you make your team infinitely better right away if you have a guy that you can build around. Now, if he sucks, then you gotta
and Ryan Fitzpatrick is probably a guy that could potentially get dealt to a team who's dealing with a quarterback injury.
Sure.
Say, knock on wood, Wentz goes down. I can't believe I said it. They would make that deal.
Quadre Olison played a lot behind Devonta Freeman for Atlanta in the back.
I think he's the guy that own over Ito Smith.
More than the Judge Ito?
Yeah.
So you got the Q continuum in Judge Ito.
Yeah, I think he's the guy to own. I mean, I wasn't really impressed with Ito Smith last year in given times. Like Coleman couldn't do anything, and they gave the ball to him. He wasn't really impressive. Are you in on Freeman?
No, not really.
No. I mean, he has that upside to be an RB1.
It depends on where he goes. Like, I don't have him in that range of the Jacobs and the Montgomerys. I'd still take
got him
Aaron
off.
Jones over him.
Yeah.
He's that next
the
level
next
down.
tier.
And I feel like there's at least one person in your league who's going to be like, Devonta Freeman, I owned him 2 years ago when he was great. I'll
Yeah.
take him in the 3rd round. Like, I missed.
Yeah, he's right in around that range where you have to take that chance on those risk running backs like Henry or Fournette.
I would take him over Henry.
I would take him
wouldn't
over Henry
Fournette.
too.
I would not take him over Fournette.
I have Fournette ahead of him as well. Yeah.
Carolina, Chicago. We already talked about Montgomery. That was good.
Yeah.
Got nothing really else.
No, that's basically it.
Green Bay, Houston, 28-26. Keke gets hurt. Duke Johnson, we kind of covered the Texans.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, Arizona. They won. They beat Jeff's Chargers. Jeff was all like bummed out about it.
It's preseason. What do you make of them bringing in Michael Crabtree?
Did they actually bring him in?
Apparently they wanted to sign him, but Crabtree said no.
Okay.
Turned down a deal. Maybe he thinks he can do better elsewhere. But to me, that made me think, well, maybe they don't like these wide receivers as much as we all thought they would. Like everyone's like trying to figure out which guy could be the guy.
I keep saying this. Arizona might really suck.
They should.
Cliff Kingsbury might be a terrible coach.
Yeah, he's never
Kyler
coached.
Murray might not be good.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
these are all within the range of outcomes. Everyone just wants this to happen so badly that this is going to be and maybe they're right. Because on paper, it looks really good. You're going to play an air raid. You're going to play 4 wide receiver sets. You're going to have David
Up-tempo
Johnson.
offense.
Yeah, you're going to be bad on defense. You're going to throw the ball 500 times a game, but like, it just might not work out. Their offensive line still sucks.
It's brutal. Yeah. I agree. I see people drafting Murray as like a top 5, top 8 quarterback, and I'm just like, yikes! Like
He was good when he was a value.
Exactly.
You spent
yeah.
a 14th round pick, then it
There's
doesn't matter
just
if
too
he's
much
good.
risk there. You're really drafting on him being perfect. I heard somebody say that they think Murray could get 1,000 yards rushing on the ground. Like that's asking a lot for a rookie quarterback. Like he runs around, he's very fast, but like you said, the offensive line is not good.
Do you want to expose him to that many hits? Too?
No, you
like,
shouldn't.
The
No.
one decent thing about Josh Allen running the ball is Josh Allen's huge.
He's a big boy. He's a big boy.
Like, that's good.
Murray's not. I like
Murray's not small, and I don't even want to say like big versus
No.
small get you more hurt because maybe if you're taller, it leads you to a more susceptible chance of being hit in the knee because it bends in an awkward way.
Yeah.
But if you're just taking like brunt hit after brunt hit, I just want the guy who's bigger.
Yeah, and this is different. Carson Wentz's rookie year was running around like that too, and he took some vicious shots on the sideline. And Doug Peterson's like, he's going to need to learn. Like, this is a different league. He can't be taking those shots. They all add up. So I have some question marks with Murray. I think he's more of just a guy I'll want to play in DFS, and I'll pair him up with Kirk here and there at times.
I think
DJ.
I think
DJ
Kirk
would
is
be a
probably
sneaky
the
little
best
play.
value for the Arizona team right
Actually,
now.
you know what? Larry Fitz is not a bad value either. I know like Larry Fitz, but before last season he finished as a wide receiver 26. It was basically his worst year
And they
ever.
were awful.
And Rosen was brutal. And 2 years before that, he had back-to-back seasons of 100 catches. If he's going wide receiver 44, 45 in a PPR format, sure. I don't even have to start him as my wide receiver 3 at that point. Let's roll him in as flex guy.
On the other side of the ball, Austin Eckler started for the Chargers. He fumbled near the goal line. The next red zone touch went to Justin Jackson. Fun!
Oh, that's going to be a headache. Yeah, Jackson's pretty much free.
I'm still drafting Eckler over
Because he's always going to have
over
the
Jackson,
role,
yeah.
no matter what.
Do you think Gordon comes back for week 1? I think he does. I think they both come back.
I
just don't understand where their leverage is.
Yeah, I think Zeke comes back. It's very interesting with back in the day when the Cowboys won in 92, Emmitt Smith had led the league in rushing yards. The following year, he was heading into that year getting paid fewer than $500,000, less than $500,000. And he sat out the first 2 games. They went 0-2. Jerry Jones made him the highest paid running back in NFL history. They have to sign Zeke. They drafted him early. They gave up the first round pick for Amari Cooper. They're not a Super Bowl contender without Zeke. I don't care what anybody says. You can devalue the running back position all you want in fantasy and real life. I don't care. They're not a Super Bowl contender without Ezekiel Elliott. So I think Jerry Jones is windows closing on Jerry Jones to see one more championship in Dallas. I think he's going to do what he can. But Gordon is very interesting. The way that what does Jeff think? The way that Phillip Rivers came out and said like,
Jeff's
we
on
have all those back. We're
Jeff's
good
on
enough.
Team Phillip.
Of course,
If you want to sit
always.
out, sit out. We don't need you.
Fair. And they probably don't
But
need him.
he's correct. Like, and everyone who talks about it is right. If you tie up all of this money
Yeah.
with Melvin Gordon right now, how are you going to re-sign Bosa? How are you going to re-sign your good players on defense?
Yeah, exactly. And they have a lot of good players on defense.
And that's more important than having
I think
Melvin
there's a
Gordon.
better chance of Gordon sitting out than Zeke. I don't think Gordon will play week 1. So I think Jackson is a pretty good, I mean, you take him, at 12th, 13th round, and maybe, I don't know how your draft goes the first couple rounds. Maybe you don't like a couple backs. I don't know. But you could play him. Like, I will rank him, and you probably will too, as a borderline RB2 week 1 with no Melvin Gordon. I think he's the guy that gets those carries. It's not going to be Eckler.
I don't know. See, I'm torn on. I need to see more of this and see how this shakes out in the preseason.
Well, we saw a little bit last year. That Sunday night game against Pittsburgh, they gave those touches.
But that was
Eckler.
after Eckler had gotten banged up.
But Eckler had started that game, and he wasn't doing anything on the ground. They turned it over to Jackson. Eckler is always going to have that. He's safe to draft. He's always going to have that role, no matter what.
Seattle 22, Denver 14. No Chris Carson in this. I called Chris Carson, based on his value right now, basically the poor man's Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Instead of drafting Derrick Henry, you can get the same stats from Chris Carson.
100%. Love Chris Carson.
He's not going to catch the ball.
You and I know that. League of Leagues, we know Chris Carson, how good he is.
He's our guy.
He's our guy.
But he even talked about that he's catching the ball more in camp right now. Hell, give him 28 catches, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, Chris Carson, here we go.
Yeah, I'm sick of people talking Penny, actually.
Well, Penny had 7 touches, 42 yards.
That's not bad. But still.
They run the ball enough.
Yeah.
I think Carson's the lead, Penny's the secondary.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're both startable. I just think Chris Carson, when we talk about red zone work in Seattle, it is Chris Carson.
Yeah, 100%.
He's the man.
He is the man.
DraftKings Metcalf got targeted on 2 deep balls last night.
There's not a lot going on there. I don't like him from a season-long snake standpoint. We'll talk, obviously, my auction a little bit later, but
he's a DraftKings player. That's why he's DraftKings Metcalf.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's not a lot going on there. There really isn't.
Any more injury news? Anything else you gleaned?
No, that's basically it. Yeah.
Right, we'll tell people about The Athletic and what you got going on.
Yeah, lots going on at The Athletic. Twice a week a show with Jake and Brad Ziegler. We'll be talking football all year long. It's on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Brad Ziegler, the pitcher?
Brad Ziegler, the pitcher.
Okay.
Does not like to talk baseball. Brad Ziegler loves football.
Who likes to talk baseball? No one is the answer.
Yeah, he's a big fantasy football guy, a big Chiefs guy. So give him a follow if you don't already. He'll be talking football all year. Doing a picks show with Michael Beller. We'll be doing that once a week.
So you're gonna compete with me, Jeff, and Tim, are you, for a pick show?
Well, we're not gonna compete.
We are now competing.
Some more info.
We are now competing. I'm sure that show will be far more informational than me, Jeff, and Tim.
I don't know. Your guys' show is must watch, must listen. And coming up, hockey season's around the corner. I know we're talking football, but I'll have my own hockey show at The Athletic, and looking forward to that.
All right, at Chris Meaney on Twitter. Garion, last time he was on the show, referred to himself as the fat Chris Meaney, so that makes you the skinny Garion Thorne.
Okay, wow.
Compliments towards Meaney.
All right, I'll take it.
I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me at the PME on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Sub to the audio podcast. Get in the draw for 20 DK bucks by smashing the like button of the video and doing whatever the hell I said at the beginning, which I don't remember at this point in time. And my rankings will be updated Sunday night on DKPlaybook.com. Keep checking the feed for more fantasy football content. Enjoy. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!